Tommy Beck, and you're listening to today's Brook Park.
This is Mark Metcalf, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio.
You are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio. Yes, Kato Kalin listens to this all the time.
Welcome to today's Boondoggle. Now, here's your host.
The Sonic Temple Art and Music Festival returns May 14th through 17th with My Chemical Romance, Tool, Bring Me the Horizon, and Shinedown. Plus, Pierce the Veil, Good Charlotte, The Offspring, Sublime, Godsmack, Breaking Benjamin, Marilyn Manson, and so many more. Sonic Temple in Columbus, Ohio, May 14th to 17th. Passes on sale now for as low as $1 down at sonictemplefestival.com.
What's going on, everybody? It's Bill Bailey with today's Boondoggle, and today's episode I'm pretty stoked about. I get to catch up with somebody I have the honor and privilege to not just call a shipmate, but a friend, and the mayor of my city, city of Brook Park, Mayor Ed Orcutt. How you doing, Mayor?
I'm doing great. I'm doing really good. Thank you for having me on.
No, I'm stoked. I'm excited. We got a long history together, and I'd like to get a little bit of your story out there with your time in the Navy.
Sounds good.
So usually when I have people on for the first time, I like to go like way back. So when you were little Eddie, do you remember originally what you wanted to be when you grew up?
Yeah, sure. I wanted to be many things. I think it started off where I thought maybe I was going to be a Catholic priest at first. And that didn't last very long. And I ended up having a fond aspiration of being in the military as a youngster.
Yeah, I was going to ask too, like when did you originally want to join or serve your country? When did that calling come to you?
I think I was about fifth grade when I grabbed an encyclopedia and started learning the different branches and different ranks and memorizing that. And if my memory serves me right, that's at that time I always had in my mind that I wanted to serve. So from there until age of 17, it was real serious about 17 years old when I went and first took the ASVAB test.
And what area did you grow up in?
I grew up in Western New York, in the great city of Buffalo, New York.
Nice. And so then, is that where you got recruited out of?
No, it isn't. I ended up getting into school and came to Cleveland as a young man 30 years ago exactly, and came here for school and ended up meeting my wife, and we'll be married 29 years this year.
Awesome. Yeah. Shout out to Joy. And then so were you married when you originally went in?
Yes.
Active duty as well? Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't know that part of the story. So then, you went to the recruiter's office. Where'd you go to boot camp at?
I went to Great Lakes in Chicago.
Great Lakes. All right. Keeping the tradition going.
That's right. I was just there on January 8th again for my son's graduation, which was nice and had some great memories there.
Yeah, that's amazing. I definitely wanted to bring up little Eddie. Well, not so little anymore, but maybe sometime down the line he'll be sitting across from me on this show as well with some of his stories. But when you growing up in New York, you transfer over here to the Cleveland area, and then you go to boot camp. You join the Navy. You go to boot camp. What were some of the oddest things that you experienced first coming into the Navy?
Well, I'm from a very large family. I'm one of 6 kids, and I'll be honest, we grew up. We didn't have everything that maybe other people had, and sometimes it seemed like a struggle, but in the end, it was just good preparation. By the time I ended up getting to boot camp, I'll have to be honest with you. It was nice to get 3 meals. It was It was nice to be able to meet other people. But the struggle to me wasn't as bad maybe as others. I realized very quick that, psychologically that I just needed to know that this was temporary. It wasn't going to last forever. Just follow the orders, follow the instructions, do what you're told. And, and it went okay for me. So my experience was probably no different than others. They were there, they were pushing us, they were pushing boots, they were tough. But all in all, psychologically, I just told myself this is temporary. So I didn't struggle. I really didn't. It was tough. It's one of the hardest things I ever had to do in my life. But it did prepare me well. And I'll just say this, that's not an education that you can get by going to school anywhere. So I was appreciative of that opportunity.
Exactly. I agree 100%. And then, you get out of boot camp. And then would you go into A school?
Yeah, so I was able to have a really good opportunity at the time. So this is all, after 9/11, and they were sending us off to all different schools wherever they could. And I had a great opportunity to go to school at the Merchant Marine Academy for my technical school, which was for utilitiesmen, heating, air conditioning, and plumbing. Great experience out there at that time. I had a brother that was living in Long Island. We were able to spend some time together. So another great experience. I recommend, the Merchant Marines to anybody. If I could do it all over again, I might even be a Merchant Marine. That what they do there is something special as well.
Yeah, that's up in Kings Point, correct?
That is, yep.
Yeah. Remember, I got to do some training up there myself through ACU too, and definitely it was quite an experience. Good times up there. And then, without breaking OPSEC, where would you say, like, after you graduated boot camp, you start, getting into your units and the Seabees and stuff, where would you say was like the worst place you had to serve at?
Oh, there's no doubt. It was Iraq.
And then what was one of your favorite places you got to serve at?
I enjoyed our base in Virginia. I was in Little Creek, Virginia. Great little town, smaller little base, and I enjoyed that. I enjoyed staying there. It was much different than being at Norfolk. At times I had to go to Norfolk, and that was a much bigger city. I enjoyed Little Creek, Virginia. It was a great place to have where our battalion was at, Amphibious Construction Battalion too.
And what was great about our careers, like when I originally went in and I worked on F-14s, was a plane captain, non-rate. But when I came to Cleveland through the reserves, I ended up in ACU 2, and we would work alongside you guys in Fib Seabee. So we'd be down there in Little Creek and have similar experiences, to sometimes do the same ATs. So I remember that's where we first crossed paths and got to meet each other. But what would you say is something that you will always carry with you from your time of service?
The camaraderie, being able to have an objective and being able to, complete it on time and its efficiency and helping people. And
then what is one of the funniest stories you feel you can share from your time of service?
Well, I think the builders, I think they lost their mind at one point back in 2007, 2008, when we were there during the surge in Iraq. And we were on the Iranian border building checkpoints. And I think our builders, our BU types, who are special individuals to begin with, I think they lost their minds. And one day they were working over in an area, and they lost their BDUs, and they were there just in their boxers and their tool belts putting things together.
The desert heat seems to have that effect on some of us. And then what is one of your greatest hopes for the country that you've been willing to give your life for?
I hope that we start working together. Obviously, it's not. It's something that we can be proud of, what we see every day on the news. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. It's an absolute disaster. I hope that we can continue to work on keeping drugs out of this country. I think drugs are key to killing America without one single shot. It destroys families by parents not being available for their children. Their children need guidance, they need parameters, they need discipline. When we send these students to schools and they don't have those core values of being respectful, and teachers have to make sure that they're careful with their losing their retirement, and the schools are basically handcuffed with some of the behavior that they have to deal with. We're producing at the end people that are probably not going to be as productive as what we had 60 years ago, 100 years ago in this country. So as a country, I think a priority needs to be getting the drugs out of this country. I think it's destroying our country. But more importantly than that, we have to work together. The divide that we have to say that open borders are okay versus them being closed shouldn't be there. You know, we must vet, we must be able to do things, there must be a proper process. And for us not to be able to understand and how to work together with common sense, you'll never prevail. We won't prevail. So when we've got one side on the left disagreeing with the far right, and there's just no common ground, that probably is the primary number one thing that we need to control. And I'm not taking sides with one side or another, because I think both sides misrepresent. I don't believe shouting and calling people names and being one that has to use derogatory comments towards people. I don't see that as good leadership. I'd like to see that a Republican can go to a major city that's having issues and walk with a mayor that's Democrat to show camaraderie, show smart leadership, and show the people that we're working together. We are definitely not working together. So between drugs and not working together in the division for this country, those are the things that have to be corrected for us to be successful. And if we don't, which we're not headed in that direction, if we don't, it will destroy us internally.
I agree. I mean, you talked about, without firing a shot, it feels like, our country is being overtaken without, enemy soldiers actually stepping boots on ground over here, to take us out without firing a shot. We're destroying ourselves, or the means to destroy ourselves is being provided. But that's, you can go down many rabbit holes there, I believe. But
they could be here. We don't know. They could walk in here.
Yeah, true. And then what do you feel we can do to break the stigma of mental health and PTSD?
That's a really good question. We have to continue to, work with those that do suffer with PTSD. It's obviously something that we see a lot more. Obviously, it's something that doesn't just relate to military experiences and being over in war and things like that. I believe that people suffer from that, from being able to grow up in a home that's broken. So how do we fix it? We have to just get the drugs out of this country, make sure that we're raising our children in a way that's respectable, teaching them honest core values, and making sure that they can be something in life. If we don't do that, we're going to continue to have mental health rising in this country as it is today. You go and talk to any judge that's out in any court, and they will tell you exactly what's happening. And it is just growing and growing and growing with mental health. So there's a lot of things we can do, but the basics have to do to basically have us able to clean up our families. We have to be able to hold people accountable. We're very divided, and I know I'm kind of going all over the place, but you have some city leaders believing that this is okay, and defunding police and things of that nature that obviously have a consequence of something that's very negative for other people. So we have to be able to take control at the ballot. We need people that are going to have the fortitude to step up and run for something and not be afraid. Most people are going to stay out of politics because of the way that you're treated. They do it to every politician. They try to do it to me. They make up false narratives. They do all kinds of stuff. And people are afraid of that. I just say to the folks that really would like to see some serious change, that are good people, have the backbone. Wake up tomorrow, ignore the noise, step forward, and take on that opportunity to be able to help. Because right now what we have is we have very good, smart leaders that are out there that just aren't stepping forward. So I guess this is a call out to people to say, get involved. Make sure, if you don't like how something's happening, I don't believe in defunding police. I don't believe in smashing through people's businesses with rocks. I don't believe in police officers going above the law and doing things that are bad. Go in there and make those changes. If you don't believe in all those things, go and become that leader. That's what I did. I didn't like the way that this country was headed. Instead of complaining about it on my couch, I got up, tied my shoelaces, and walked and knocked on doors and talked to people, had conversations, and decided, hey, listen, I think we need some change here. And we did. And I'm proud of the accomplishments we made here in the small town of Brook Park. We're a great town, and we need to make sure that we continue to have the success that we do as a state. And that needs to continue to grow outside of our state. And we have to make sure that we accomplish things together as a nation.
I agree 100%. I know, a lot of people, they see what's going on and they get caught up in like you said, in what's going on in the nation and outside. And, especially in like Washington, D.C., and they just feel like, I feel like you, that if you want to administer real change and be a part of the solution, it happens locally. It starts in our backyard, and that's exactly, what you've been doing. And I've been proud to watch the success that we've been having here in the city. And coming from NRC Cleveland back in those days together. And, I remember, back in, when we would be in the reserves together. And, I think I've said this before when you were running for mayor as well. It's just like, I was the guy that was always like, ACU2 was a little wild anyway, but I was the guy after duty or whatever. We'd be at the Coast Guard Club. We'd be partying and whatever. Nobody wanted to run home to their families and stuff. But I remember you went there, did your job, and then you went home to your family. You kind of didn't get involved with the nonsense that I got involved with. But I respect that today. But you always were, you always were my friend, no matter where I was at in that part of my life, and I greatly appreciate that. I know you're, the Iraq deployment was kind of close to the end of your period in serving in the Navy. Let's talk about like the early days of when you moved your family to Brook Park. And I know you've been involved with the community a number of years. You coached the youth. When was it that you decided, I'm going to get involved with running for council?
Well, first, I had no aspirations to get into politics. After serving my country, I ended up getting a very good job, and I was, happy, successful, all those things. But I think it was around 2008 when we had the global recession, and I watched, how everybody wobbled a little bit there. And then by 2012 or so, I seen our city, take a big hit. One of our largest manufacturing companies here or producers had a reduction in their workforce. And that obviously was a financial hit that the city had a burden of. And I did watch, we had great leadership back then, and I watched the mayor at the time steer the ship. He did a very good job in making sure that we were successful. And I can say that for all the mayors of the city of Brook Park and council members. Everybody's been fairly decent. And but it didn't seem like we were making that comeback at a speed that I thought we could have. So I did get involved. I was able to get appointed by Mayor Coyne to the Planning Commission. And then from there, I made a run for council. one unsuccessful, and then one that got a seat on city council. It was very quick at that point that I realized that I had no authority. Obviously, I had a vote for big pieces of legislation like the budget and what have you, but I didn't have the authority to be able to make some of the big moves that I think we needed to do. So instead of spinning my wheels and wasting any more of my time, I ran for mayor knowing two things. One, if I lose, at least the constituents that I had built a really good base with could say that I gave it a good try. Or two, I could win this thing and then get to work. And we won. We won big. We did very, very good. And to a person that was a good person and did a great job with turnover to me. So that was Mayor Gamella, and I want to give a shout out to him that he was a gentleman to me as the mayor-elect. And then once we got started in January 1st of 2022, the administration, we rolled up our sleeves and we went to work. We went to work immediately on the cleanup of the blight. I thought that this town had fallen down from the city that I, first became part of 26 years prior, and buying up underperforming hotels that had people living there and staying there that were down on their luck was an important thing for me to be able to take care of, and that was the number one thing that we did take care of. Moving down Snow Road and making sure that we cleaned that area up with vacant buildings and getting new developers in here was a priority. So all in all, not any plans, no aspirations to run, but it was just because the town had fallen down over 20 some years that I'd been a part of it that made me first get in. And since we've been in, our success has been based solely on the employees. The team that we have here, the approximately 137 to 140 full-time employees and all of our part-time employees, is exactly why we're successful. They come in, everybody is accounted for every day. We make sure that everybody's coming to work. They have an assignment, and that we make sure that we get it done. And I'm very proud to be able to be one of the team members here in Brook Park.
And then I know, one of the things, even before you became mayor, one way that we continue to give back and honor those that served along with us was doing our annual veterans dinner for the veterans and the families that we do every year at the American Legion, and that's been quite successful, bringing a lot of people together. And I've been proud to be a part of that with you. I know, those were some of the goals. You mentioned some of the goals that you were able to accomplish on your first term, but we had to deal with the tornado that came through the city. I know you've been played a huge role in the comeback with that, and then you've been doing such a great job that this last time that you ran for your second term, you ran unopposed. There was nobody nobody was going to put anybody against you. I think everybody, the majority of this city, stands behind you and supports and likes the direction that you're taking us. What do you feel like you would like to see get done this second time in?
Well, what we're going to do is continue with the cleanup of this town and rebuilding it. We're 60 plus years old. We have stuff that needs to be cleaned up. We have infrastructure that is old and outdated that has been a priority to make sure that we catch up on that. The stormwater management and the mitigation program that's been in place here for decades under other administrations has helped with keeping water out of basements. That's been a very big part of our administration the first term. It'll continue through the second term. We are completing construction documents for a second retention basin. As you know, in our first 4 years, we were very successful in putting in a very large retention basin that we've turned into a wonderful park, a walking park for folks to be able to go and enjoy. We're going to continue to work on that. But another big thing that people will see is our planning commission has approved redoing the outer envelope, the outer shell of the community center, and the plans for that came out in the renderings are just wonderful. They were welcomed by the entire planning commission, and we are putting in front of city council very shortly here a budget that's going to be strong, that will support putting a facelift onto this building. We're also going to be able to work on building a request for qualifications coming very soon. We need to look into building ourselves a state-of-the-art modern safety building. Obviously, you have to have revenue sources to be able to make that happen. We continue to run our city and the budget very lean. What we're going to do is have inside that budget monies for a safety building feasibility study. So those are the things that we're going to concentrate on is flooding mitigation, infrastructure upgrades, and we're going to start talking about and looking into what we can do to update our safety building.
Nice. And then, of course, it being, Super Bowl Sunday weekend, we have to talk about the other big deal that's been going on that you've played a role in, the relocation of the Cleveland Browns with the dome that's going to be developed here in the city of Brook Park. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. We can start off from the beginning where understanding the totality of the facts and circumstances around the Cleveland Browns and their current stadium is one that you'd have to go back well before Mayor Bibb. You'd have to go way back when that agreement was established with the city of Cleveland and Mr. Lerner. And what ended up happening is an extension to the syntax was put in place to be able to build that. And then there was a second extension of this syntax that was voted on by the electors to be able to maintain. Long story short, there was never enough money generated to be able to, this is from my opinion and my understanding, there was never enough money to be able to make that a reality and to keep up on it. So I don't know if that deal was set up for Cleveland to have a lot of success. I do say hats off to Mayor Bibb with how he managed and handled this. He obviously inherits stuff just like I inherited things as a mayor. And, he fought hard for keeping that team, and I don't blame him. That's an asset that he tried to protect. And I know it might be tough for the fans and other legislators to understand, but Mayor Bibb was in a tough situation. I will say that. And he handled it like a true professional. Me knowing behind the scenes the totality of the facts and circumstances, and there's a completely different owner who's generous and wants to be able to reinvest into this product that is here locally that will help bring commerce to this region, to Northeast Ohio, and making an investment as large as they are. We were able to come to the table understanding that we were option B. From the beginning, the Haslam Sports Group had said, option B would be Brook Park. And for the record, I was one that would like to keep the team downtown some way, somehow. But with the investors and the development that they have in mind, there was no land to be able to do that was readily available. So we as a community had to sit here and figure out if we could be able to handle this and host this. As you know, from the experiences that you and I have and what we did, Amphibious Construction Battalion 2, we had a lot of responsibility. When we went over to Iraq, we went out there. We were the ones out on the forward operating bases. We worked out of the forward operating bases. We had to build the front lines and checkpoints on the Iranian border. Those were things that took a lot of planning and a lot of scheduling. You have to think 50,000 steps ahead. And that type of experience that we have at this administration with this mayor, with myself, I took that scenario of being able to plan and see if this could be a reality. And I knew with the large investment from these developers that we can all be successful and build something here in Northeast Ohio that we have never seen before. And we will become a destination. And I firmly believe when Mayor Bibb had told me his main focus is making sure that he takes care of that airport and that lakefront. What we're doing is we're not concentrating on one project, but we have 3. And it is going to change this region for the better. And that's all about working together, like I talked about earlier. If we stand here divided and not work together, we're not going to get anywhere. And I've committed to the city of Cleveland and Mayor Bibb that I will work closely with him to make sure that we build a gateway into this region right outside the airport and along Snow Road that we can all be proud of.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, with the location is just it's just too good what we have right here. And like you said, it should be a destination right next to the airport. People can come in from out of town, right next to a couple major highways. You know, we got the RTA system, the transit system. We actually have trains that come through here. It's been like a no-brainer, and I'm looking forward to what's ahead. I know a lot of people have been nervous about how traffic and all that's going to be affected, but I know you were talking about the plan to make that not such a headache for us here.
Well, let's be honest. There's a lot of congestion in any major city that has a major league professional team. Approximately 2 hours to 2.5 hours before a game, you're going to see your main congestion. Yes, we are going to make some improvements to the highway systems that we already have. We have great infrastructure. We have a system that was built to be able to handle 16,000 employees for many decades at Ford Motor Company here. So we have very good bones. But let's understand one thing. It's one thing to scrutinize a project, which is great, and we should, because you want to make sure you understand every bit and piece about that project. But we also have to be honest in reality. And I hear a lot of the engineers' reports, and they sound really good and really fancy. I am preparing the Brook Park people that 18 to 20 times out of the year, we are going to have a major event. 18 to 20. That's 5.47% of the year. For that, we're going to be able to generate revenue for our city so that we can take money in the opposite corner of our town and replace a road. So there's going to be some inconvenience here. And we can go and put that all over the media and scare people. And I'm going to continue to come to you with the same message. This is bringing commerce to our region. This is going to help not only the city of Brook Park, it's going to help the region, it's going to help the county, it's going to help the state. Instead of having 10 major events downtown a year, which nobody can convince me, not one person can convince me, that 10 events downtown out of 365 days is keeping all of downtown afloat. Just not happening. If we can do 18 to 20 major events a year in this region, we don't have the capacity to hold all of the people in our hotels here in Brook Park. We are going to have people staying all over this region, and they're going to be able to use hotels and restaurants. They're going to visit the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Playhouse Square, and it's going to bring new visitors with their paychecks that we'll be able to receive, and we'll receive tax dollars so that we can be able to operate as a region. So to the Brook Park residents, yes, we are doing a lot to make improvements, nearly $80 million in improvements to the highway systems in and around Brook Park that are already fantastic. We look to make capital expenses in cameras for traffic control. Basically, any major event that we have, we're going to have somebody sitting at that traffic box with 2 buttons, one green, one red. The cameras will tell the command center where congestion is and where it isn't. And we'll be able to make the appropriate calls for action to be able to help with that. At the end of the day, I would say to the residents of Brook Park, make sure you plan around the major events. I wouldn't plan to go to the grocery store when we're going to have a national championship. So it's something that we have coming here, and we can scrutinize it, and it has, and we welcome that. At the same token, we're very lucky to have one of 32 football teams in this whole world.
Definitely. And then, with the dome, the sky's the limit. I mean, we know our weather hasn't been great right now, but you know, with a dome, we'll still be able to host events in there, which is nice. What's it been like working with the Haslam group for you?
It's been great. It really has. It's been good. They've got a good team. It's very similar to the Brook Park administration and City Hall here. They work extremely hard. This is a major project, you know, multi-billions of dollars that everybody wants to get right. And that's what makes it easy, is that their intent is good and our intent is good. And we both understand that, you know, we have to be successful. You know, the money has to be in the right places. And for us, the city of Brook Park, we have to make sure that we have the money coming out of this site that has long-term sustainability within our community. If we get something wrong on our financial modeling, then it really could hurt and jeopardize our existence as a community. Mayor,
I want to be cognizant of your time because I know you're a very busy man and you're always working for the city. Even on, there's no off time with you. You know, I think I catch you in the office on weekends and stuff as well. So I definitely want to be cognizant of your time. But before we get ready to wrap up, can I ask you a few questions I normally ask my guests that I have on here?
Well, we'll see. Well, shooting.
First, what class do you feel should be mandatory before graduating high school today?
I think a few of them. I don't just think one. I think a few. I'll go with shop for one. You know, some students aren't very good with the 2 + 2 is 4 sitting in the classroom. Some people understand things a little bit better and can figure it out when they're measuring a 2x4 and this is 18 inches and we're going to screw this to this board that's 24 inches. So I think shop's very important. And I think that we need to be able to bring back the opportunity for people to understand how to run a checkbook.
Definitely, I agree. And then, who are 3 people who have inspired you and you can credit for making you the person you are today?
Obviously, my parents, I have to thank them. They're the ones that instilled me with great core values as a Roman Catholic. We certainly put ourselves in a position where we want to make sure that we help people. My parents were very, very big with that, and I want to thank them. They're huge. And then my brothers and sisters. You know, we grew up tough. It was a tough life. My parents, you know, the families basically were immigrants to the country, and we were essentially almost first generation, and it was a little bit of a struggle. And my brothers and sisters and my parents and a stepmother, we all stuck together and we did very well. We did well for ourselves in the end. So definitely my brothers and sisters were a big part of this. But I was one that got married very young. You know, I married my wife. We only knew each other 8 months when we got married. I spent my whole childhood life over in Buffalo, New York, and I moved here as a very young man, still a kid, but I met a wonderful girl named Joy McCartney, and obviously she's everything to me, and we have the most wonderful kids in the world.
That's beautiful, man. Come on, don't make me tear up here. You guys. And then, you know, let's talk about, you know, I mean, it's not always positive to think about like when we're no longer here. But also, like, what would you want your legacy to be? How would you want to be remembered?
That I was able to maybe shape and help people's lives. It's, you know, something that's very important to me, that, you know, volunteering is something I still do regularly. In fact, my next appointment is even though my kids are older, I still coach 1st and 2nd grade co-ed basketball here in Brook Park. It's my only hobby. And just being a part of somebody's life and being able to make sure that, you know, you could be that positive light in something that might not be so positive. Earlier, we talked about how families are broken, and I see it. I would hope that they would remember me as a person that helped them out. And then I would hope that could repeat itself, and then history could continue to repeat itself. And it will, because God gets it right every time, and we'll be just okay.
Awesome. Well, I know I'm physically a grown adult, but you still influence me in a positive way every day, and I'm grateful to call you a friend.
Oh, thank you. Same here. I appreciate our friendship, Bill. I think you do wonderful things, and you've got a great attitude about life.
Thank you, Mayor. And then before we get ready and wrap up, any message you have for our military brothers and sisters currently serving overseas?
Yep, GI. Go get it. Do it. Let's go. It's go time. I wish I was with them. I'm jealous of them. I wish I can go back, That war was tough, and I ended up, not re-enlisting after my last tour over there. But, I'm jealous of them, and I'm very appreciative of what they do. I'm very appreciative of my son for wanting to serve, and he's at A school right now in Wichita Falls, Texas. And just want to tell him, my son, and the rest of them out there, we're very proud of you. Keep up the good work.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely really proud of Eddie. And I know for myself, if I could go back and do it all over again, I definitely would. And I think I would hopefully do it a better job with everything I've learned being sober than the times I used to numb out with the rest of the sailors. I thank you so much for your time, Mayor. I really appreciate it. And if anybody that, I know you're all over the media, especially with the Browns stuff going on, but if anybody's curious and wants to see what's going on with the city of Brook Park, where would you send them?
We have social media pages, Facebook. You can get on there, and also you can get on Brook Park City Council, Oxcast. They have their live streams, and whether we're live streaming a council meeting, which that might be a little boring to them, we do have open houses that we've been videotaping and presenting those to the public. So if you can't make an open house, and we've had a bunch of them, we certainly encourage you to go and watch them to get the information that they need to have.
I'm looking forward to some warmer weather eventually, and home days and concerts at the amphitheater. So I love seeing you at those events. Once again, Mayor, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you. And I know you got to get back to work, but thanks again for your time.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you, shipmate. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
All right! Listen up! Hold on to your seats. Grab your girls, grab your beers.
Hey everybody, this is Charlie from Anthrax, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
This is Mark Metcalf, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey, Domain, Cleveland Radio.
You are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio. Yes, Kato Kalin listens to this all the time.
Welcome to today's Boondoggle. Now here's your host.
I am Monty Heath, so one Heath, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
Hey, what's up? It's John from Skillet, and you are listening to today's